Australia's not the country I grew up in or left. Being back after 17 years, it seems that a fair go, an honest day's pay for an honest day's work, no longer rings true. Do you think people get a fair go in Australia anymore?
Where were you, Brian?
West Africa, Middle East, 5 years in Iraq and Baghdad. Better coverage in a war zone in 2005 than you get here in Australia. Haiti, Latin America,
and you
telecoms
came back,
and IT.
came back and didn't recognise your own country, you're saying. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and I can't get an interview, even though I'm an IT and telecom executive. I'm doing hospitality and construction to keep busy. Good, honest work, but it's not good use of my career.
Anthony, this is, again, to go back to the divisions we're seeing around the world, is this sense that people don't recognise their country or don't feel as if their country recognises them. When did this start to happen? Why are people feeling this way?
Do you know, every phase in history is a phase of change. All societies everywhere, in every period, have been in transition. And the people who are at the front end of the transition, the people who are making the transition happen, the people who are at the very back end of the transition who are being left behind because, you know, all the new demands, all the new skills, all the new challenges are something that they sort of lag behind on, makes them feel as if they're being left out. And maybe sometimes they aren't, but in very many cases they are, because in a way it's as if our economic structure and the way that we organise our societies is a little bit insensitive to people, but regards them as disposable. Well, you've had your time, you've had your chance, and now we're moving on.
Women,
younger people, and so on. So you know, I think a reset is needed here, in which we don't let people and all the talents and everything that they have to contribute are marginalised. We should make it possible for everybody to make the contribution that they would like to make, because the result would be a huge benefit. But just one final little point on that. I mean, just thinking about the daycare thing that we started on earlier about childcare. It's not only the fact that the working week, the working day is structured around men and the way men work from 9 to 5, which is completely, you know, unhelpful to women with children, and therefore excluding all that talent from the economy and from the society. But it's also the fact that if you're going to make sure that people don't get left behind in that transition later on in life, give them the very, very best start at the beginning. Early education is hugely valuable from that point of view.
Well, the politicians have more than enough of a fair go, and they're going to have to fix the problem. So I'll finish just with Wendy and also Catherine. Is it still the land of a fair go? What do you say to someone who feels as if it doesn't speak to them, Catherine?
Yeah, look, I've travelled and lived in quite a few places as well, and I still think that Australia is, comparatively, we're very blessed to live here. I've lived and worked all throughout Southeast Asia and whatnot. But one thing that I would say is that I think we really need to sharpen our pencil from a leadership perspective, both politically and from a business perspective, because I think the fish rots from the head, and the minute that you bring ego or self-interest into an organisation, you drop your fiduciary duty, which is a fancy word for, you know, the best for who you are serving, and you cannot continue to give people a fair go. So I think we need to drop ego and self-interest in leadership and actually start to listen to our constituents and find out what it is that they want and how we can better serve them.
I love Australia. I find myself very fortunate to be here compared to my relatives overseas, and I think on an individual level we give each other a fair go, but I think the way that the country is structured, and the number of issues economically that we have, and the number of external issues from the pandemic all the way through to the fires and the floods and other things that people have been through, people are really tired. And they just want to be given a fair go. And I think we need to, again, look at the leadership that we have and have the hope and the vision that we can go back to having that holistic view that Australia gives every person a fair go, not just us to each other, but the entire country's on the same page.